And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if I can do this correctly. Um, I forgot to set this up. Whoopsie. Okay. Does this work? SpaceX.com. Awesome. Welcome to today's flight attempt for the Starship Superheavy Vehicle. For those who are aware, there was an attempt on Monday morning. That resulted in a launch scrub, and they moved into a wet dress rehearsal. And today it looks like all systems are currently green for launch. Elon Musk himself actually had just tweeted out Starship is go for launch in about 37 minutes. Now, I will say teams are currently looking an eye on the weather. That is the only concern that has appeared today. Seems a bit foggy down there, but the visibility has improved greatly over the last hour or two. So, we're gonna hope that trend continues. I'm me. I'm here. I'm a big space guy, and I am ready for perhaps the one of the most significant launches of my lifetime. So I'm going to do a little quick review, and then we're going to hop straight into the SpaceX livestream. So, if you go to SpaceX.com, you can click on this little Starship tab here, and then just scroll down and find some nice information. So, the Starship Super Heavy stack is a height of 122, sorry, not 122, 120 meters tall. Is a diameter of 9 meters. This thing is massive. Alright, each stage of this, I've seen it. I cannot comprehend the size of it, and I've seen it. And it's got a payload capacity of 100 to 150 tons. That's crazy. Starship, the upper stage, right, it has 6 Raptor engines, 3 sea level, 3 vacuum. The 3 sea level can gimbal, the 3 vacuum cannot. And gimbal is just another word for steering. It has a height of 50 meters and a diameter of 9 meters, which makes sense. It's just a long cylinder for both stages. You know, a payload capacity of 1,200 tons, a thrust of I still don't know. I think that's tons of force. 3.3 million pounds of force, so 1,500 tons of force. Payload capacity of 100 to 150 tons. Super heavy. This is the booster. Has 33 Raptor engines. Alright. A height of 69 meters. Nice. I think it's actually about 70. I'm pretty sure this is kind of an internal joke. Diameter of 9 meters. Again, a propelling capacity of 3,400 tons. In a thrust of 16.7 million pounds of force, or 7,590 tons of force. This is twice the thrust of a Saturn V at liftoff, making it the most powerful rocket ever made by far. And yeah, these are the Raptor engines. Each Raptor engine has 230 tons of force, so multiply that by 33. A height of 3.1 meters and a diameter of 1.3 meters. So that's a quick little overview. Let's see if I can find the flight plan for today. That would be fantastic. What? Here we go. So this is the countdown sequence. Let's see. I have no idea. I'm just gonna tab over to NASA spaceflight. We're about T-minus 29 minutes, which means we are rapidly approaching Raptor engine chill in about 13 minutes from now. So right now they're currently finishing up fueling on both stages, getting everything nice and topped off. And oh shoot, I forgot to mention this song. I did play a song at the start of the stream for those of you who heard. That was the latest song, "Cryo" by Everyday Astronaut. Very cool. and I do have the NASA Spaceflight stream pulled up, and I will be pulling up the official SpaceX stream probably through website here. Anyways, just thought I'd clarify that. And then, what are we at? 16. Yeah, so we had about 13 minutes until Raptor engine show. At T-minus 40 seconds, the vent down sequence begins. So that means basically all venting on the vehicle is going to stop. Everything is going to be fully pressurized for launch. T-minus 8 seconds, you get the startup sequence. 0. Excitement guaranteed is the motto of this entire test flight. You know, I've heard it everywhere. That means because, like, there's a good chance something goes wrong today. You know, either a rapidly unscheduled disassembly, a RUD, an explosion, you know, a chance of success, a chance of failure, a chance of scrub. You know, it's really hard to know with this thing. This is kind of the timeline, which isn't very clear. I mean, 55 seconds to get max Q, 2 minutes 49 seconds to get a BECO, or, sorry, not BECO, but I'm just gonna say BECO, booster engine cutoff. I don't know what this main is doing here. And you got stage separation at 2 minutes 52 seconds and 2 minutes 57 seconds to get the Starship ignition. So this is the flight path. They're gonna go up. They're gonna separate. The booster's gonna try to do a flip back, flip around, do a boost back burn closer towards the Brownsville area, and then do a soft landing in the Gulf of Mexico. Starship is gonna continue on its way until ideally its re-entry point, to which it's going to attempt a belly flop maneuver all the way straight into splashdown. Hard splashdown. Keep in mind, it's not gonna do a landing maneuver at all to slow down. They're just going to try and get it through the re-entry portion. So, yeah, that is the test flight for... Well, that's not the test flight. That's just kind of the test flight review. Let me get this stream up.
120 meters tall. It's about 9 meters around. And we have this 120 meters tall. It's about 9 meters around.
Hold on. We're going to go back, and then we're going to...
doing some final prep work in advance of today's test, and man, there's the 120-meter monster.
The person just keeps getting smaller and smaller.
I will say visibility is looking a lot better right now.
Which we'll talk more about those.
Like, that looks clear.
In addition to those 2 stages, Starship actually has a 3rd stage, which we call Stage 0. It consists of all the launch pad infrastructure built around the rocket, as you can see.
It's looking a lot better today.
And it's truly an engineering feat in its own right.
Yeah, we've got a great shot there of the very different components.
If it just goes up, it's going to be fine.
The pad, the infrastructure, all that is required to get into filling the tanks.
Let me get
now,
my...
Let's talk about Super Heavy. Its name says everything. It's super, it's heavy, it's super heavy. When it's operational, it'll be
made that joke in the last one.
To escape that mighty gravitational pull of Earth that we've got here and take Starship into orbit.
The booster itself stands about 70 meters tall and is roughly the same height as a full...
You know, I actually got to sleep last night, which was helpful because...
but this super heavy booster has a diameter roughly 2.5
I got stuff I have to do today.
And with 33 much larger engines.
I needed to get some rest.
This is one of my favorite views that we're going to get today. Those are our 33.
Oh, this camera angle is going to be nutty. Like...
Yep, and you can see in a couple of different rings.
I'm really hoping that, like, I don't think they'll show this one for launch, but I hope they show it on Twitter or something very quick after, because that's gonna be crazy.
Maneuvers and also helping to reorient the booster as it comes back.
Like having.
Yeah, and when we say gimbal,
all
it's
those
engines tilting or almost wiggling the engines a few degrees and in either direction
to
allow the booster to steer itself, just as you said, Shiva.
And we'll get some great shots later of actually a wiggle test that we perform ahead of liftoff, just to make sure that all of those engines are able to...
I wish all Starship a very fly safe.
One thing to note, those Raptor engines are completely designed and manufactured in-house. They are, as many of you know that have been following along, they are a reusable methane oxygen staged combustion type engine. It's a lot of words there. And ultimately, that staged combustion means that we combust the propellant in stages. That we kind of pre-combust them in a pre-burner, and by doing so, it allows the engine to be more efficient, i.e., more powerful.
Yeah. Now, like Falcon 9, the Super Heavy has 4 grid fins to assist with orienting itself in its return back to Earth. We got a shot of them there beneath the Starship's aft flaps. Now, as we talked about earlier, Super Heavy is not going to be attempting a land landing today, but with this flight test, we're still trying to get as much data as we can. We're focusing on the fundamental systems and operations, so that's the liftoff portion, but we are going to try to get some data on how the fins work and for that water landing that Super Heavy is going to be making after ascent.
I love that great view of the fins there. Now, Starship, or the
I mean, it's a little hazy, but it definitely feels a lot better than what the
top portion of the vehicle.
What it was looking like earlier.
It's designed for carrying passengers and cargo to Earth orbit and beyond. It stands about 50 meters tall, which is a little
Seems like
taller
the
than
sun's
the
doing a good
Statue
job
of
of burning that off.
It's comprised of 6 Raptor engines, 3 sea level, and 3
Which that
vacuum
trend
engines,
needs to
which are
continue.
optimized to
You got
operate
20
in a vacuum of
minutes.
space.
It's already
And they
improved a
provide
lot in 20
maximum
minutes.
Of 258,000 tons of thrust in vacuum. Spacecraft is also outfitted
Also,
with
I
4
will say
flaps to
this.
help
There's been no
aerodynamically
call out about
control
some
the
sort of
vehicle's
valve issue. They had a
attitude,
frozen
which you can
valve
see there's
on
2 forward flaps
Monday,
there on the
which
screen now.
resulted
So they help
in
control the vehicle's
their issue.
attitude during atmospheric flight and enable precise landing at the
It
intended
resulted
location.
in them
Now,
switching
one
over to a
thing we
wet dress
gotta
rehearsal
mention,
instead.
the heat shields. They are
It
iconic.
sounds like to
Starship is
me
wrapped in a heat shield, which is composed of 18,000 hexagonal ceramic
that, I mean, from what I saw over the last couple days, engineers were swarming the pad like crazy to get everything checked out, everything fixed top to bottom in the booster. So all systems were set green, which means whatever they did must have worked. They haven't called out the same issue twice, which tells me, well, I don't know. They've been called out the same issue twice yet, but I think that was a T-minus 16 minutes they called that out, so I suppose in another 6 minutes we'll know officially, but I feel like that would have been called out already. I don't know, like if the same issue happened twice, I feel like they would have said something. But otherwise, it seems like everything's proceeding into count just fine. I mean, the other hint I have at that is Elon had said something not too long ago.
Now, Starship is designed for vertical takeoff and landing as opposed to taking off and landing like an airplane. And that's
so that tells, and I'm assuming he's probably in the control room. He's answering questions about Twitter while in the mission control room for Starship. That's pretty funny. I know he was in there for Monday. I'm sure he's in there for today.
Now, for today's test, Starship does not have its landing legs attached because, like we said before, it won't be returning anywhere. Starship is expected to make a very hard ocean landing, which, if we even make it that far and manage to get any views, it will certainly make for a very exciting end to today's test. At this point in time,
I like how even they're like, if we even get that far.
From liftoff, let's check in with John Innsbrucker for a status update. Hey,
Yo, John.
Thanks, Kate. I'm John Innsbrucker, Principal Integration Engineer here at SpaceX. We're currently loading propellant from the ground system into both the first and second stages. Now, both vehicles use the same 2 propellants. That commonality helps build the reliability. And the fuel today is liquid methane, and that's at a temperature of just over 100 kelvins. That's about minus 272
so the ship's almost full.
degrees below zero on the Fahrenheit
And the booster's
scale.
about 75%
now,
of the way full.
liquid methane is a different fuel from Falcon 9. That booster uses RP1 kerosene. However, our oxidizer is liquid oxygen, and that's the same as Falcon 9. Because there is no oxygen in space,
they say when weathers go, vehicles go, so we're within the constraints here.
Leading up to where we are right now, we had a go-no-go poll. That was conducted just after T-minus 2 hours, and once the team gave their goes, we started loading propellants onto the booster at T-minus 1 hour and 39 minutes. At T-minus 1 hour and 22 minutes, we began propellant loading of the ship.
Shoot,
the
I'm
second
hitting the
stage you can
jitters
see on your
because,
screen right there. Now, propellant
like,
loading of the Starship's
we're within
second
20
stage
minutes.
main tanks completed at about the T-minus 27-minute mark, at which time we then began loading the 2 header tanks in the nose of the second stage. Now, at T-minus 3 minutes, when the first stage super heavy propellant loading completes, that means we'll have all the propellant on the rocket, and the vehicle will be fully loaded with over 10 million pounds of propellant.
That's a lot.
Now, right now, at T-minus 19 minutes and counting from liftoff,
That's one
the
big
weather
bomb.
and winds are looking good. We have been watching the ground level winds. They're at 18 miles an hour. As the morning continues, they will increase, but that is below our limits right now. We're also looking at upper altitude winds. We're waiting for one more balloon, but we believe that we're going to be go. On the launch vehicle itself, the teams, the good news, they're not working any issues right now. But if for some reason we do not make our test flight today, if we have to hold, we have a backup launch window. However, we're not sure when it would be. It could be 24 or 48 hours after today. It'll depend on how far we get into the countdown. But right now, heading for a T0 at 8:28 Central, 13:28 Universal
So
Time.
I don't know what their cutoff
Everything
is
is looking good.
for a 24-hour
Awesome
recycle
news.
or 48.
Now, in
I
order
think
to
it's
make life
probably based
multiplanetary,
on
we need
pressure.
a fully reusable vehicle that's capable of carrying a huge amount of
So
cargo
if they're
and
at
a
full
lot
pressure,
of people
it's a
to orbit and have
48-hour
a pretty
recycle.
quick
I don't
turnaround.
know.
The idea is
I just
to
kind of
effectively
assume,
reuse
like,
launch vehicles just like airplanes.
it just
Yeah,
depends on where they
imagine if
are.
you had to wait for a new airplane to be constructed
So
every time
it's been
you
it was a
wanted to
72-hour
fly. You'd
recycle,
rarely
but
go anywhere,
that's so they
and
could do
for most
repairs.
of us, it would be completely unaffordable. In order for us to get to Mars and back with lots of people, lots of cargo, multiple times, reusability
I've seen the
really
same
is a
animation
must.
over and over, guys.
In advance of our first missions to Mars, Starship
Especially
will
because
execute
this
a
whole
number of
booster
missions
thing
with
isn't
both
gonna happen
cargo
today.
and people, starting with Earth orbit
Which I'm
and
fine
eventually
with,
expanding to the moon and beyond.
Now, in the near term and a bit closer to home, Starship will also be critical to other programs. Once fully operational, it'll deliver the full-size and upgraded version of our Starlink satellites, and that's super exciting because our next-generation satellites represent a step forward in Starlink's capabilities and will allow us to connect millions of more people around the world with high-speed internet to watch
17
Launch
minutes to go,
webcasts.
guys.
Such an exciting future
I wish
ahead of
all
us,
Starship
But first, let's talk a little
very
about
let's
how we got to where we are
go.
today.
Now, Starship's testing ramped up in July of 2019 with our Starhopper prototype, sort of a short version of the Starship that we see today. There's a great photo of it. It was just over 18
Starhoppy.
meters tall. It had a single Raptor engine, and we
love
had it
Starhoppy.
to test fly and perform low-level altitude maneuvers and attempt landing. The initial test flight, or hop, reached about 20 meters in altitude. That was followed by the one that you've got on your screen here. This was our 150-meter altitude hop. We went up, took a little jaunt away, about 100 meters or so away from the launch
A
pad,
casual
used that
stroll.
Raptor engine to fly and actually land. And actually, this hopper is actually down at Starbase now.
Yeah, I love this shot. It's just so
It's
fun
kind of
to
a
see
running
it
joke
fly.
about the immortal hopper.
After a series of 150
It's just
meter
survived
hop
everything.
tests with earlier prototypes, the Starship program saw a major breakthrough during a test flight of the vehicle known as serial number 8, or SN8. You can see it there on your screen now. In December
I remember
2020,
watching this.
SN8 demonstrated a first-of-its-kind controlled
I was trying to watch it
aerodynamic
and drive
descent
home at the
and
same time
landing flip maneuver.
from school.
2 words, belly flop. The SN8 prototype rose to an altitude of 12.5 kilometers or 7.8 miles and conducted a belly flop maneuver, which you see there, during its descent. While it didn't stick the landing, the test was a major milestone in the development of Starship. In fact, we should be able to see that unfortunately failed landing. Boom. It was fun to watch, though.
Rapid unscheduled disassembly, but learned a lot of data.
SN9.
Now, the testing continued on to prototype serial number 9. It took a 10-kilometer flight. That's about 6.2 miles up. In February of 2021, we had a nominal ascent. We executed the engine cutoffs once we got to the top of the altitude window. We did that belly flop maneuver, which is so much more fun to say than controlled descent.
True.
aerodynamic maneuver. That was all stable, but unfortunately, we had a dramatic end on this flight as well. We had a failure
One of the
on
engines
one of the
going on.
engines that
Yep.
resulted in another pretty large fireball. But what was really cool about both of those flights was how much we learned just between serial numbers 8 and 9 and how quickly we were able to achieve our primary objectives in those 2 flights. In addition to that, we
Serial number
got
15.
so much data that demonstrated control of the vehicle in that subsonic regime.
Ultimately, we performed 9 Starship high-altitude test flights in total. And then, as you see on your screen there, in May of 2021, SN-15 launched from Starbase, reached an altitude of about 10 kilometers, performed a number of maneuvers, and safely returned to the launch site. This was the first Starship prototype to fly, control its descent,
It
safely
looked
land,
so
and
like
be recovered in
angled
one
still
piece.
on that.
And people were
But it was
cheering
fine.
like crazy
I was
after
one of
that
them.
test flight. Now, having achieved those successes in our suborbital campaign, one of the next big challenges is for the upper stage when it comes to reusability and surviving the hypersonic, really high heating phase of entry.
Oh yeah.
Combined
I mean,
with the later
the
ability
visibility
to
is still
refill
not
Starship's
perfect,
tank with
but
propellants, the fuel and oxygen
it's
while we're
better,
on orbit,
you know,
that
I'm-
will enable
I'm
us
imagining
to
they're
have
gonna
a
get
fully
some
reusable
shots,
transportation
which
system
that's what I want,
that's designed
right?
to carry
It's
both
just-
crew
what's a
and
good
cargo
camera
on
angle?
long duration missions,
13 minutes to go.
interplanetary flights, and will help
We're into
humanity
the
get
count.
to the moon, travel to Mars, and beyond in our solar system.
This
This
is
is
happening.
all just basically our path of progress,
Maybe.
basically an iteration on
trying to
each
get-
vehicle, and that iterative process
get
is
some
a core
updates
part
on-
of how we work here at SpaceX. We like to test early and often, publicly as well in our case, and that's both for hardware and software. And while it doesn't always go as expected, we learn so much from it, and it informs our next attempt.
Yeah, we learn a lot from actually putting the vehicle through flight-like tests. Even the test on Monday gave us an opportunity to learn more about the vehicle into today's launch attempt, and so far things are looking really good. Now, we are continuing into our countdown. We're about T-minus 12 minutes to go. I think it's a perfect time for another check-in with John Insparker. How's it going, John?
We're under chill down now.
Well, sure, the
I
good
didn't
news
even call
is
that out.
The nets are quiet. The teams are currently working. No significant launch vehicle issues.
Good.
You can see the T clock there on your screen. T-minus 12 minutes, 10 seconds, and
I
counting.
pulled the mission control audio, but I
Propellant
feel like
loading
it's
is
just an
continuing on
overload.
both the Super Heavy and the ship stages. You can see the graphic on the left-hand side of the screen. Most recently, we began loading liquid oxygen and liquid methane fuel into the header tanks on Starship. Those are 2 small tanks just underneath the nose of the
They
second
used that
stage.
whole countdown to fill
Now
up the
that
booster.
started at T-minus 27 minutes.
I think they started at
That'll
an
be
hour and
wrapping
45
up
minutes
at
ago.
That will be wrapping up about T-minus 9 minutes. Now
T-minus,
the
T-minus.
Starship second stage main fuel and LOX tanks are loaded for flight right now.
We love
The
John.
Super Heavy first stage booster propellant loading is continuing, and that'll go till about T-minus 3 minutes.
Mr. Sorry,
We're
Mr. Nominal.
underway with engine chill as we
Wait.
get ready for T0.
No, Mr. Nominal.
And we're also
That's right.
configuring
That's a
the
little
launch
joke.
pad for liftoff.
I said it wrong. I'm so
The
bad.
booster hold downs have been unlatched. They'll be ready to retract at liftoff. And the second stage quick disconnect is beginning its configuration for release.
Oh
The
boy.
methane and liquid oxygen propellants currently going to the second stage go through that.
It's
quick
already going
disconnect.
much better
That's
than
that arm
Monday.
that reaches out from the tower to the base of the second stage. The SpaceX team continues to check in with the Coast Guard. Good news is we've not heard any reports of boats
No
in the
wayward boats
safety
today?
perimeter as the launch vehicle heads out over the Gulf of Mexico.
Wait,
So
like
right
this
now,
is actually
T-minus
working.
10 minutes, 40 seconds, and counting. Everything continues to go well for an on-time launch.
Now, today's test flight is taking place out of our Starbase facility in South Texas, and
This
that
may
test
actually
flight has gone
happen.
through a huge amount of development over the last couple of years.
You can
One
see
thing I
the
wanna
build
point
site
out,
all
this
the
is a
way
great
back
view
here.
from our drone. Not only can we see
That's where they
the
build it.
pad, but in
This is
the
the launch
fog,
site.
kind of in the distance, in the background and to the left of the pad, you can actually see our production facility,
See? That's what it's
which
called.
is the other part of Starbase in
Right
addition to
here.
the launch pad.
Of course, as part of rapidly iterating with our test program, we're also rapidly iterating on our production system to produce Starships and Super Heavies. Last year, the Starbase team
We're under
produced
T-minus 10
4
minutes.
Starship Super Heavy boosters and 5 Starships, along with their 200th Raptor 2 engine, and they're only scaling up from there, Kate.
Yeah, it's incredible to think that for 2023, production has 5 boosters and 8 starships going. So it's incredible. And it's important to have that system fill in basically the manufacturing line so that we have product ready to go as soon as we're done with this test.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm getting the
ultimately,
chills.
I mean, we talked about how Starship is an order of magnitude more propellant, payload to orbit.
Full
But
send.
if you're going to go set up a base on the moon or Mars, you're going to need thousands of metric tons of propellants. And so you're going to need a fleet of vehicles that's capable of doing that.
Yeah, one thing to note, Starbase directly employs more than 1,800 employees. It's the largest employer in the area, in fact. And we're very thankful to Cameron County for being so supportive. This is a view from the Cameron County Amphitheater. And there's a crowd there, and you could tell by the energy here in Hawthorne as well that everyone's getting really exciting. I feel my own heart rate going up and up.
I know. It must be really, really exciting to go see this. And I mean, just the sheer amount of power on Starship, you're going to feel it down there when this thing lifts off from the pad. We've actually got a great shot here of the natural surroundings around the pad. Oddly enough, most of the pads end up being around sort of wild locations like this. But coming up on T-8 minutes, I think it's another good time for check-in with John.
T-8.
Thank you, Shiva. T-minus just over 8 minutes to the first test flight of Starship. Currently, we are pressurizing second stage. We are also closing out liquid oxygen.
So it sounds like
and
first stage
fuel
is
header
pressurized,
loads
maybe?
on the second stage. We're also getting ready for propellant
Ship propellant
load
is closed
tank pressurization.
Ship propellant
on the
loads
first
goes up.
stage.
Cool.
In fact, we are just now closing out header tank load on the second stage.
All right.
Now with the header tanks loaded and closed out, that means we're down to just the first stage to finish loading. That'll finish about T-minus 3 minutes. And at that point, when both stages are loaded, we will have the 10 million pounds
I
of
would not be
liquid propellant on
surprised.
board.
I'm pretty sure this thing is
Now, in
more
the
than
next few
capable of
minutes,
launching a
the guidance
Cessna
system will
Caravan
begin its final alignment
out
for
of the
flight
atmosphere
during
and
the quiet
gone.
period when the rocket's not
Way
going
gone.
anywhere. The automated flight termination system will be armed, and a final TVC checkout will be performed. Those are the engine wiggles, and hopefully we'll be able to see.
I tried to wait. I
cameras
waited to go
underneath the vehicle,
live a
maybe
little bit
even
until I
the
was
second stage engine. There's a
sure
view looking underneath
they were still going
the
today.
super heavy first stage with the 33
I mean, they could
Raptor
scrub at any
engines.
point now, but
Now, a reminder as we
no major
continue
issues
counting
today,
down,
and
if
we
do need to
are
hold, the point where we hold the clock would be at T-minus 40 seconds. We can
we're
pause
good.
there. Typically in the past, if we need a little bit more time to finish final checkouts or do some pressurization of the onboard storage tanks, that's where we would hold. But currently, we're not hearing a need to hold. So at 6 minutes, 27 seconds, everything looks
If they don't
good.
need to hold, they'll
And
just
of course, Kate Shiva,
probably
as we
pause for a
get
brief
close,
moment, say
we're
good,
going to get into
count
the
it
engine
down.
ignition sequence of 33 Raptors, and that's going to be something new for everybody.
I cannot wait for that moment. So for those of you that are familiar with how we launch Falcon 9 rockets, you probably know that we light all 9 of those first stage Merlin 1D engines all at once. It's pretty different than what we do, or what we're attempting to do today. We're actually going to be igniting those 33 engines in banks or clusters, and that sequence starts at T-minus 6
And the
seconds.
reason they don't
Yeah,
light
and the
all
ignition
33 at
sequence is a
once
little bit different, both in terms
is
of the timing and
because
also the ignition method. So on Falcon 9, we use a chemical called T-tab. It's a pyrophoric material, so that means when you mix the two
because
together,
last time
it
they
produces a
tried
flame
that, there was an
kicks off that
explosion
green
underneath
characteristic spark
this
on Falcon
very
9
booster
missions.
that they
But
had to
definitely
check
on Starship,
out.
we use electrical ignition system. Many of those are integrated
that was
on
a
the
fun
ground
one to
system
watch.
here. And
They
the
weren't even doing a
electrical
static
ignition,
fire, it
we
was just
start
a
lighting the
spin
banks
prime.
at T-minus 6 seconds, and then over the next 4 seconds,
Pretty sure it
the
was just
3
spin
sets
prime.
of banks
Yeah,
will
that
ignite
was
and eventually
entertaining.
bring the booster up to a thrust to weight greater than 1 and hopefully ascent.
Super exciting. Like we said, pretty different from our Falcon 9 launches, and so this will be the first time that any of us
Ladies
have
and
gotten
gentlemen,
to see
we are
this
now
type
at
of
T-minus
integrated
5
test
minutes
flight
and
with
counting.
both the Starship and the Super Heavy booster.
Everyone cheering as we get into T-minus 5 minutes.
We
I
wanna
would be
remind
too.
everyone that success today
reminds me exactly of the Falcon
Today,
Heavy
success is
test flight.
anything that we learned that
The
helps
energy is
improve
great.
the future builds of Starship. If we lift
Prime
off
time
and
entertainment.
see the pad, we're calling that a
This
win.
is more entertaining than any
A great
8:30
shot of
a.m.
the pad there. Great shot of the quick disconnect
TV
on
show
the
you'll
second
ever
stage.
find.
You can see the frost line on the booster where that methane is.
Just
is
gotta
really
remember
topped
this
up.
thing is
I think we're
located
just coming up on the last few minutes here of
in like the
propellant
very
fill
tip
on the booster.
southern tip of
Now, that quick
Texas.
disconnect is going to separate
So
it
that's
away as
still
we actually
another
get
5
into the
hours
ignition
south from where I
sequence.
am.
It's providing electrical connections now.
I've been down there to see it.
Also providing the propellants that
It's
we're loading
huge.
into the vehicle.
Unbelievably
We're just now
large.
under 4 minutes until
Large.
liftoff of the Starship flight test. We've been following along for what
Yeah.
honestly seems like
Yeah.
days and days now, but really it kind of comes down to years. It has been a long time to get to where we
But yeah,
are
this is a
today.
Texas launch, which
now fast forwarding a little
this is
bit.
the first orbital launch
we have
from
the
Texas
opportunity
ever.
to
So
hold, if necessary, at 40
go
seconds.
big or go home,
And
I
we are
guess.
able to hold there for about 15 minutes, or up to 15 minutes, and still be able to lift off.
We're into the
It's a
countdown
little
now.
bit different from Falcon for the propellant sequence on Falcon that we don't have the opportunity to hold. So that's a cool new capability on Starship.
Oh crap! This is
Right
we're
now,
getting
T-minus
close.
3 minutes, 10 seconds and counting. We got some great views from the drone. It's nice that the fog is slowly lifting. We get some of the blue skies, hopefully good views.
T-minus 3
What we're
minutes and
waiting
counting.
for right now is closeout of propellant loading on the first stage.
Crap! Like this is
That
actually.
should be wrapping up here
Uh-oh.
shortly. In fact, it looks like fuel fill and drain valves are coming closed. That
Uh-oh.
means first stage is fully loaded.
This is like.
Second stage fully loaded. And that 10 million pounds of propellant on
This is
board
gonna happen.
the
Maybe.
Starship launch vehicle.
I don't want to jinx it. Knock on
I want
wood.
to take a quick moment to say that the crowd energy here is electric. I feel like it's Falcon Heavy
I would be
test demo
so-
all over again.
Exactly. Yes.
And hopefully you'll hear us as we get into the plus count. But right now, next activity is coming up. The flight termination system arms at T-minus 2 minutes.
Let's go,
Let's start the control
Starship.
checkouts at T-minus 2 minutes. And then after that, major
Please?
activity will be the T-minus 40-second gate.
Please
Here's a view
launch.
looking up at the 33 Raptor engine.
Oh, you can see them like.
There are 20
You
engines
can see the
in a circle
frost
on the
coming out from
outside,
underneath them.
And as Shiva said
From the
earlier,
chill down.
13 engines on the center.
Oh.
Those are the ones that gimbal and steer the
Woo!
vehicle.
Under T-minus 2 minutes.
I don't think I've ever seen someone so excited for TVC wiggles.
Love this view. These are the 33 Raptor
Oh yeah, no,
engines
the
at
little
the
crawl,
base of the
not little,
Superheavy
it's huge.
booster.
The crawler,
I
it
think we
is
can
the
see
worst
those
thing. It
wiggles
gets
now.
like top speed of 1-2 miles an hour. Also,
We're currently inside 90 seconds. Next major
that
activity,
thing is,
T-minus 40
it is the
seconds.
worst card ever to be
That
made.
is a gate, a decision point. We're waiting. Possibility the propulsion team may need a few minutes. Flight termination system is armed for flight. We're getting ready for
So if they do a
T-minus 1
hold,
minute
it's
and
going to be
counting.
at T-minus 40 seconds. And if they don't do a hold, we're going to go straight into launch. 50.
Next, we'll see as we get past T-minus 40 seconds for final checks of the vehicle.
Oh, 38, 37, 30, 35, 34. Here we go. Ah, wait. 37, 36. Here we go.
Okay, you can see the clock has recycled.
Oh, okay. So there's a pause.
Flight director has called a hold. We are recycling. For the moment, we'll see where they move the clock back to. They could hold at T-minus 40 seconds. They could go to an
Ah, what
earlier
happened?
point. Give us a minute to listen into the nets, and we'll see if we can get you more information to share.
T-minus 40, and they, that makes sense. So they have a planned hold at T-minus 40 seconds. That gives them time to do whatever they need to do, either if something looks slightly off. Basically, they want all conditions to look as perfect as possible on the ground. Because there's nothing they can do about it once it's in flight, right? But if there's something that looks a little bit wrong, and they'd like this to kind of succeed in the air, they're gonna go through all checkouts. See, so they're gonna put it on hold. This is for final checkouts, which, you know, if there is an issue, they didn't say there was an issue, so that makes me wonder if this is actually good. They could reset it back a couple minutes. You know, it could be something as simple as the engine's off 2 degrees and they're gonna let it chill down a little bit more or something. I have no idea. Although I think that was an issue with SLS. So, I don't know. The pressure, I think, is fine. It said propulsion may need a hold. Yeah. I wouldn't say sad face yet. Because there's nothing that would result in big sad. Like, if they got this far without any issues, it's great. We will know for certain here when they come back online. I mean, shoot. So they did do a hold. I would love a little update.
John Innsbrucker again here at the Hawthorne webcast desk.
Oh, okay.
We're holding a T-minus 40 seconds. What we've heard so far is we have a couple of issues we're working. One is the booster tank pressurization.
Again?
Final pressurization was just a little bit long. That's not unusual. We've held at T-minus 40 seconds before to pressurize. That appears to have been resolved.
Okay.
At the same time on the second stage, they're working some final purging. We should know very shortly if that is cleared and if we'll continue the countdown.
Everyone, especially that person, is excited to keep going. Like John said, we should know shortly if we're able to continue. But as we mentioned before,
If there's an issue on the ship, that's gonna suck.
15 minutes and still be
Because
able
they're gonna have to go all the way up there and
on
figure
Falcon
out what's
9, it's
wrong.
a little bit different. Once we start propellant loading, we pretty much have to go at the targeted time. Otherwise, the propellants can warm up, and we may not have the performance for that particular mission profile. It's a little bit different on
And
Starship.
folks, if I can interrupt,
Yeah.
it looks like they're clearing all the flags, and we're going to
All right.
at T-minus 40 seconds.
We're going.
That is amazing news.
Amazing.
Team working quickly through their issues on first and second stages.
All clear.
And I'm sure all of the rehearsals and simulations that they've been doing have prepared them to evaluate.
We are going.
To try
We
to get
are
in for those
going.
launch attempts.
That's exactly what you want to hear.
We have a brief hold at the T-minus 40-second mark. The team is resolving one
I'm
issue
nervous.
with the bleed purge on the Stage 2 Raptors. Like John just said, the teams are quickly working that, and it looks like the flags are being cleared.
I don't know
as
what
we
the
speak.
countdown
So
is.
we should be able to resume the
Please.
launch countdown any moment now.
And it's worth noting on Starship that once we resume the countdown, it restarts from the 40-second period, and then we keep
Exactly.
going unless another condition.
I'm gonna
pops
be
up.
so mad if this thing just starts
stick around
flying up.
because, Starship could be going
Number
here real soon.
0. Yeah. Boop.
Don't walk away, that's for sure. Amusing views here coming to us.
The
from
views are
Starbase,
looking
Texas.
better.
Cheering. The clock started again.
Please, countdown. Up, 31. Up. 29. 28. 27. 26. 25. 24. 23. 22. Here we go. 13. 12. 11. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. Oh crap! Are they gonna let it go? Holy crap, it's flying! Holy crap. Let's go!
What a sight from the ground cameras at starboard. We're flying at twice the thrust of the
Oh, there's several engines down. They're already missing 4. Oh god. I don't know how many they can lose.
Back up.
They lost another.
Going through the period of maximum aerodynamic pressure.
Oh, they're already missing engines. I don't know how many they can lose.
Increases. The density of the atmosphere is decreasing.
Max Q.
Lessening stress on the vehicle.
Look how many. It looks so weird. I mean, they're able to get it far away from the launch pad. That's all that matters now.
Continuing to watch.
You do not want this thing blowing up on the pad. That would have been horrible. But if they're able to push it out and up and away, then they're able to just do this again.
Our next major activity is
2, 4, 5.
of the first stage. The Houston tracking station now.
There are 6 engines down. I don't know how many more they can lose. Apparently it's still fine. I feel like they would have blown it out of the sky by now.
6 engines in the staggered sequence.
Right?
Those 6 engines will burn.
You can visibly see the engines out. Look at that shot! Alright. I guess we're going for stage separation.
Now after stage separation, the first stage will flip and begin a boost back maneuver for landing.
Please? Uh-oh.
Continuing to fly. 2 minutes 40 seconds. Let's get ready for main engine cutoff.
Uh-oh.
Beginning the flip for stage separation.
That doesn't seem right. The whole stack is that right? That's not right, guys.
As of right now, we are awaiting stage separation.
That thing is tumbling.
Could separate from the super heavy booster.
No, it's doing flips in the midair. This thing is.
Right now, it looks like we saw the start of the flip, but obviously we're seeing from the ground cameras the entire Starship stack continuing to rotate. We should have had separation by now. Obviously, this is does not appear to be a nominal situation.
Uh-oh.
It does appear to be spinning, but I do want to remind everyone that everything after clearing the tower was icing on the cake.
There it goes. They blew it out of the sky. Good attempt.
As we promised, an exciting end to the Starship inaugural integrated test flight.
Blew it right out of the sky. Oh, man. I was worried about that. So I saw this. I saw
into the test flight, the first integrated flight of the booster and the Starship vehicle.
Yeah, no, they have a couple bombs on board, pretty much to blow it out of the sky. Hey, look, it's Elon. That's funny. He's like, what the heck? So, I saw several of the engines out, like right at launch. They right at launch they had. Well, excitement was guaranteed. Fair enough. See, this is what I noticed, is right out of the gate, they were missing 3 engines. I thought their engine out capability was 2 for a successful orbit. I could be wrong on that number. I hope that's clarified now. But they were missing 3 right out of the gate. And then by the time we got this far, you were missing 6. Or 5?
As we prepare for stage separation.
Sorry, 5.
Beginning
Um,
to rotate, we should have had
I was worried about this little, like, angular momentum flip maneuver they were going to try and separate the stages with, because I don't see what I'm trying to figure out is what happened here. Like, did it just not let go of the ship? That would be unfortunate if it didn't let go of the ship. But for anybody just tuning in, that was the Starship test flight. It ended in a bang.
Absolutely incredible day. We made it through a number.
It ended in a fairly significant bang. This thing is taller than the Saturn V. So it's pretty big that they blew it out of the sky. But with that said, they got it far away from the launch site, which that tells me that they're fine. I know the problem with this vehicle in particular was this ship and booster have been sitting out in the open for about a year. Like, they've been able to test it a little bit, but that stuff wears down in some of the parts, especially the engines. Like the seawater, not seawater, it's not like getting seawater in it, but it's just the salt environment. Yeah, basically glorified firework at this point, yeah. Their next in line ship and booster actually already have a lot of upgrades compared to this, and so I expect the second flight attempt to be much better. But with how they were talking about this, I was worried it was going to end in a kaboom. And yeah, it went kaboom. So, another exciting time. That's gonna be about it for me. I'm going to take an unwind here and probably look at some other stuff. If I come back alive, it'll be much later tonight and probably review everything that's happened here today. So, that's gonna be that. That was the Starship test flight. Of course it ends in a spinny spin kaboom. It's really funny seeing this whole stack rotate. I mean, it's funny because the reason I say it's funny is, like, I feel like the teams were expecting something to go wrong today, so they didn't. It didn't sound like anybody had the idea that this was going to be 100% perfect. And with the excitement guaranteed being thrown everywhere, that made me think explosion was somewhere bound to happen. I assumed it was going to be on, like, the ship would fail to ignite its engines midair or something like that, and then they'd have to blow it out of the sky. But, it's fine. We'll take the booster along with it. 5 engines missing on launch. That's a yikes. Big yikes. But yeah, that was cool. I mean, at least I got to see it fly and get off the pad. That was pretty great. There's more shots I'd love to have from it. But, it's probably going to be about, I would expect 3 to 4 months until we see another attempt like this. I would not expect one until mid to late summer. Just assuming how everything else goes. Depends on how much damage the pad has. It seemed maybe a couple little things flew off, but it's just debris, so it's fine. They got to figure out that engine issue though. It's, if they getting 33 engines to cooperate with each other is a really hard ask for any company. So the last people who tried it was the Soviet Union on the N-1 rocket, who had 31 engines. And several of those failed every time. The N-1 never succeeded. So yeah. Basically, that's kind of where we stand at the moment. I'm gonna go ahead and probably start getting ready for class here. So, I will be catching y'all later. Thanks for watching.